Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Swing short setups. Today, we're going to analyze the market, go through a couple of swing short setups. In about 3 or 4 shorts, we're going to do the TA on those, have a look at those. Hopped in a short today on Uniswap. It's actually one of my favorite setups. So, yeah, definitely wait for the TA on that one. But let's just dive straight into Bitcoin here. I am in a short at the moment, 5x leverage short. Looking to get stopped out at that 140, 145 K region. I do think that we will be coming lower towards this 100K before 145K. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't mind. We've absolutely milked this market through the last few months, catching a huge Bitcoin move. We caught this move and made a lot of money, of course, on the channel. And, we took the ETH trade, the SOL trade, we took all the trades. So yeah, we're definitely happy to risk some of the portfolio. But what you can see at the moment, guys, is Bitcoin is just chopping around here. This was basically the key level over here. This is the key level over here. This is about 120K zone. And yeah, this was a good place to short this move over here. But obviously, we pushed up all-time highs. Everyone got stopped out. Now, what is most likely to happen is a trading range in this zone over here. Looks like we are trying to flip this zone into supports. This would be the bottom of the range, and the top of the range would be all-time highs. Easy to sell Bitcoin at all-time highs. So basically for Bitcoin, expecting a chop in the zone over here. If we lose the level, then we can look at lower levels such as this level over here, which we're going to make green, because if we do come into the zone, it will be looking good for buying. So if we lose this level over here, this 116K zone looks quite good. Of course, that would be even 117K. This would be the 50% level, lining up with the 50-day EMA. So if we do lose this 120K zone, then we can be, taking a stab at the zone over here. And of course, if we just take off that lock quickly, and if we look at that move from low to high, that halfway point comes in at that 117K zone, lines up with the 50-day EMA. So this is the level that I would be looking out for Bitcoin. We do come into that 117K. I think if we do lose this level over here, come down to that 117K, that could be our next place to get into the market. So look at Solana, guys. Solana also just chopping around here. I am in a Solana short. I am expecting for Solana to just chop around in this range. But if we do break this range to the downside, then I am looking at this zone over here between $185 and $175. Grab all the liquidity over here. That liquidity is at about that 190K zone. But we could come further and dip into that 50% level. And that 50% level is, of course, coming from that $95 zone all the way up to the 255. And that halfway point comes in perfectly at that $175 level. 200-day EMA is in the mix as well. So this is a good zone to be looking out for. Not the best risk to reward, but this is looking like a lower high. So a good way to look for a target from a lower high is, okay, well, we saw this move over here. Let's just make it extra thick for you guys. And if we play out that move again from the lower high, it's going to line up nicely with that zone to perfection as well. So very key zone over there for Solana. I think that's a high probability trade. So we have taken that trade, guys. We have taken the trade. So one, we are short on that Bitcoin. 5x leverage, looking for 100K sweep. A Solana short, which, this is the exact setup over here. Not the best risk to reward, but if we do start to consolidate underneath the 50-day EMA, something like that, then we're going to move our stop loss all the way down here. And then we're looking at that 3.6 to 1. And we could easily add to the trade as well. Take it to a 2 to 1, but have a very high probability trade, guys. So it's always good to take a little stab at the market in these situations over here. This is looking like a lower high, guys. So definitely watch out for this. Good setup over there. ETH as well. I'm in a short from these current levels over here. Haven't been stopped out yet, but we spoke about this the other day, guys. This 4350 zone over there. We spoke about the 50-day EMA over there, and the 50% level from the all-time high to this low that we saw over here. Of course, all-time high over there to the low that we saw over there. And that halfway point comes in at that $4,400. Now, basically, the plan was that if we do lose this 50% level and start to chop between the 50% level and the 50-day EMA, we could be gearing up for either a potential higher low, or if we lose the level, then we are going to be coming down to that range low over there. So that's what I'm looking out for, guys. If we start to chop in this area and we start to lose it to the downside, then we can see a move over there. But if we do hold this level, form a higher low at that 50-day EMA, then it could be the next low for that next push to the upside. And that lines up very nicely with this huge support over here, guys. So, of course, huge support from Ethereum, but it has lost the 50% level over there. So cautious, guys, be cautious at the moment. So I'm in that short because we are below the 50% level. Yeah, that's that, guys. That is that. So ETH BTC, I want to speak about that quickly because I'm only interested for ETH BTC if we do get that pullback to that 0.032 over here. And I'll be going pretty long. I think this is a great place for the perfect pullback. This was the resistance level, so it looks like the perfect retest, lines up with the 200-day EMA as well. So this would be a great buy zone in my opinion. Bang, 0.032, and we can easily take a long. Stops, of course, would be the zone over here. If we start to close below the zone over here, 0.03, then it's going to be looking ugly. It will be looking ugly. So, and of course, our target at 0.05. So, yeah, this is the setup for ETH BTC, and somewhat inversely, Bitcoin dominance. I did speak about this breaking out. If we did break out the zone over here, which we did the 23rd of September, then the next target is going to be the zone over here. That's 60.5, lines up with the 200-day EMA, and of course the 50% level and this massive zone over here. So this is going to be flipped into red over there. It will be resistance, but this is looking very likely to play out. So I'll be watching out for the zone over here, 60.4-ish. And this would be, resistance. So this would be, potentially where you would find that bottom in the crypto market. Maybe we do come a bit higher. And I am looking, if this does rise, I am seeing a fall in the crypto market. I do think there is a potential pullback on the cards. One thing that I'm not extremely sure of, guys, is USDT dominance, guys. This is just chopping and going sideways. This has actually gone nowhere for a very long time, guys. Since the 10th of July, we've just been going sideways for 3 months now, guys, 3 months. So, yeah, this is giving us no direction at all. Of course, when we are below the 50% level over there, the bias is to the downside. We did get that, that death cross, which is obviously bullish for the crypto market. But yeah, this isn't giving us any resolution. And the best thing to do would just be trading this range. It's quite a good range here. Maybe you do get the odd deviation. We've seen a couple deviations, one deviation over here. Let's make that yellow for you guys. And then, of course, another deviation over here. So, the deviation play is pretty good. You just wait for the deviation, go long or go short on USDT dominance, obviously inversely correlated to the crypto markets, and your stops will just go below. You'd still be looking good in both of these trades if you did that. So let's get into the Uniswap short, guys, because this is one of my favorite setups. It is in profit at the moment. So what we're seeing here for Uniswap is it has lost some key levels. So it has lost the 50% level, and of course that 50% level comes from this low. We saw this low. Let me move this next to here. So we saw this low over here on the 8th of April. That is when the majority of the market did find that bottom, and then there's that top over here. That 50% level comes dead on at that 4.83 level over there. So what I'm seeing over here is that price is caught below the important EMAs. So you can see important EMAs. It is caught below the 50% level. So this is a good zone to short because you got your EMA cluster over here. So if price does come up into this cluster, it's most likely going to reject, which we did see today. And if we start to hold this level below, you see we've closed many candles below, and we have tested the 50% level. The high probability trade is taking a short all the way down to this $5.64. So this is my setup at the moment. I did get into this. It did reject quite nicely. I got in at about, I think, 8.25-ish, this top of the red box. So, you know, if you do want to take this trade, the risk to reward isn't insane at the moment. But it is a higher probability of playing out, in my opinion. But you can just scale in. So I'd put an order over here at that 8.52. You can go short. You can go short at the EMAs, of course. And then you can go short at that $9 zone. Stop loss over here. You don't really want to see this top being taken out. And then, of course, we are targeting the liquidity over here, guys. This is a good setup, in my opinion. Just below 3-to-1 risk to reward, but a high probability at the moment. It is quite hard to find those good risk to reward trades at the moment because the market has chopped around for a while. There's no obvious entries, in my opinion. So that is the Uniswap short, and I'm also in the TRX short. TRX starting to pay some dividends here. So, you know, we did get in early. We said this is the resistance zone over here. So if you are in this trade with me, what you can do is you can move your stop to the zone over here. And that gives us a risk to reward of 6-to-1. And what that means as well, if we do want to take a profitable trade, we can actually move our TP up a bit. So our TP was the 50% of the wick here, which is looking like it's going to line up nicely with the 200-day EMA if we do get a harsh dump. But what you can do is you can take profits at that 3-to-1 risk to reward. So the zone over here lines up quite nicely with this bottom. Of course, a big overextension through it, so I'm not sure how respected this level is. But if you do want to take some profits off the table, you can be taking at that 32 cents. So 32 cents is where you'll be taking some profits just because of your stop loss situation. But if you are looking for the full, the full Monty like I am, then I'm going to be waiting for that 30-cent zone over here. So let's see, guys, 200-day EMA, and of course, it's a dynamic support. So this is going to be moving up as price, goes on, because we have been in an uptrend. The last 200 days are above this level over here. So this is gradually going to be moving onwards and upwards. So maybe we do see that move over here. It looks like we can break down the supports and come find support at this zone over here. Maybe it's a little bit higher, but let's see, guys. Let's see. For now, it is a good trade. It is a good trade. Quick question. Yeah, so it's Q4 at the moment. So yeah, I've exited a good majority of my spot. We did get out. We did get out quite nicely on Ethereum and Solana. I got out probably a bit too early at this 210 zone over here. We have gone up a bit higher, but from a macro point of view, guys, we have to just all agree here that it's been one hell of a ride, guys. We've done really well on Bitcoin. I didn't get the bottom. I'd say my average entry was between 20 and 30K. Of course, it felt so foreign in this moment, but we've had one hell of a ride. 300% move over there, and of course rotating into ETH for we caught the majority of this move over here as well. So we've done quite well. So taking some chips off the table. Altcoins, it's tricky because altcoins just have not performed, guys. Stuff like this, terrible. If you got into this, you're down. Casper, terrible. Binance, extremely well. So it's been a very, very tricky market to trade. You obviously can't sell at a loss. Stuff like Ondo also really struggling, guys. This still has potential to play out, but it is Q4 at the moment. So, you have to be on the cautious side of things. You have to be on the cautious side of things. So I got some news events, guys. So, of course, we got some high impact news, but next week we have CPI, PPI, and, a little bit of non-farm employment change over there. So, this is, of course, all depends on the government shutdown. So let's see what happens, guys. We've got Fed Chair Powell speaking as well. So some high impact news events for next week. And what's interesting to know is the dollar, guys. I've been looking at the dollar, and the dollar on the weekly looks like it is making a retest over here. I'm potentially seeing, are we going to see a deviation? Are we going to see price reclaim the $100 zone, something like that, get above there? Are we going to see a reclaim? Who knows? Who knows? This is like somewhat of a tipping point, excuse me. Are we going to come in here and reject off? This would be good for assets, or are we going to reclaim? This would be bearish for assets, of course, guys. But yeah, guys, thanks for joining the stream. Much appreciated as always. And we'll see you guys on Monday for Macro Mondays.